So friends, today, the Chief Judge of Federal District Court in Washington, D.C., Judge Beryl Howell, refused to hold Donald Trump and his team in contempt of court. And here's the thing, friends. Judge Howell was right. Let's talk about that, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirschner here. So I'm not sure when the Department of Justice is going to get the message or get the memo that they need to indict Donald Trump for his crimes. Now let me warn you, friends, this video is not going to be a fun, happy, upbeat video, and I may need to stop and take a deep breath from time to time as we work through today's legal story. But let's actually start with some reporting that broke yesterday, and then we will take up what happened today in Federal District Court in Washington, D.C. Here's the headline from yesterday. Justice Department asks judge to hold Trump team in contempt over Mar-A-Lago case. And that article reads in part, prosecutors have urged a federal judge to hold Donald Trump's office in contempt of court for failing to fully comply with a May subpoena to return all classified documents in his possession. In recent days, Justice Department lawyers have asked U.S. District Judge Beryl A. Howell to hold Trump's office in contempt. The request came after months of mounting frustration from the Justice Department with Trump's team, frustration that spiked in June after the former president's lawyers provided assurances that a diligent search had been conducted for classified documents at his Mar-A-Lago club and residence, but the FBI amassed evidence suggesting, and later confirmed through a court-authorized search, that many more remained. So friends, this story from yesterday kind of made my head explode a little bit. That DOJ is, still playing patty cake with Donald Trump and his lawyers who already lied once in writing, certifying that everything had been returned when it hadn't. And so when I saw that reporting yesterday, here's what I tweeted out. Interesting development. Fed prosecutors ask Chief Judge Howell to hold Trump team in contempt for their continued refusal to fully comply with grand jury subpoena for the return of stolen documents. Here's a suggestion. It would really be much easier to just indict Trump and company because, justice matters. So friends, here's why I tweeted that out yesterday. Here's why I'm so frustrated with the way this is playing out. Let's do a quick recap. When Donald Trump left the White House, he stole a whole bunch of classified information, national security documents, national defense information, information about the nuclear programs of foreign countries, stole it all, took it to and unlawfully concealed it down at his Florida home, Mar-A-Lago. The National Archives begged and pleaded with Donald Trump for a year or more, please, please, please return what you stole, because it belongs to the federal government and it's supposed to be delivered to the National Archives. It doesn't belong to you. And Donald Trump said, nope. And then DOJ went down there. The FBI went down there to Mar-A-Lago. Please, please, please return the documents you stole. And Trump's team gave a handful of documents back and then certified in writing, his lawyers did, oh, that's everything. You've got it all. But that was a lie. And so the FBI, the Department of Justice, had to get a judicially authorized search warrant to go in, search Mar-A-Lago, and seize the evidence of crime that was located in Donald Trump's office, in Donald Trump's desk drawers, in various storage facilities. And when they executed that search warrant, they found a bunch more classified documents. Then DOJ said, now, we want your team to certify again that you've given over everything. Of course, a certification that wouldn't be worth the paper it was written on. And Trump said, no, I'm not going to provide a second certification. So DOJ ran to court to Chief Judge Beryl Howell and said, Judge, please, can you help us here? Can you make Trump and his team certify again that they've given over all the documents? And if they won't, well, we want you to hold them in contempt of court for failing to comply with a subpoena that we issued last May, that Donald Trump has been violating ever since it was issued in May. Make no mistake about it, Donald Trump has been obstructing justice by violating that subpoena month after month after month after month. And now DOJ wants Judge Beryl Howell's help. Well, today there was a hearing on that request by the Department of Justice to hold Trump and his team in contempt. And Judge Beryl Howell said, no. Here is the excellent reporting today by Hugo Lowell of The Guardian. Headline, Judge denies Justice Department plea to hold Trump in contempt over records. And that article reads in part, a top federal judge denied a request from the Justice Department to hold Donald Trump's office in contempt of court for failing to fully comply with a subpoena demanding the return of all documents bearing classified markings, according to sources familiar with the proceedings. The chief U.S. judge for the District of Columbia, Beryl Howell, told the department, DOJ, during a closed-door hearing on Friday to resolve the matter with the Trump legal team itself, because a contempt ruling would not hold. The precise details about the hearing were not clear with the case under seal, but the judge's move amounts to a victory for Trump as he contends with a criminal investigation into unauthorized retention of national security information at his Mar-A-Lago resort and obstruction of justice. And Judge Howell was right. Let me use an analogy to try to highlight why Judge Howell was right in refusing to hold Donald Trump and his lawyers and his team in contempt. If somebody robs a bank, first of all, we typically don't subpoena the bank robber and say, can you please return all the money you stole to the bank or maybe bring it to the grand jury pursuant to this subpoena? No, you get a search warrant and an arrest warrant, and you lock up the bank robber for the crime he committed, but that's not the way DOJ decided to go with Donald Trump. And there are arguments on both sides of whether it was smart to just subpoena Donald Trump for the return of the documents he stole, or to just do what you would do with every other human being in similar circumstances, arrest them for their crimes. DOJ opted not to do that for Donald Trump, treating him differently than everyone else, putting him just a little above the law. So if a bank robber steals money, you don't subpoena the bank robber for the return of the money. And if you do, and the bank robber doesn't return the money, you don't go to the judge and say, Judge, can you help us here? Can you just get the bank robber to certify that he really has returned all the money? And if he won't, can you please hold the bank robber in contempt for refusing to certify that he returned all the money? No. You arrest and indict and try and convict and imprison the bank robber. You don't go about it the way DOJ is going about it, in my opinion. Yes, I know these are novel circumstances, a former president stealing national security information and refusing to give it back. But those novel circumstances demand tried and true action, which is that you arrest the person who stole the national security information. You don't just run to the court and say, please, judge, help mediate this for us. That's not the way any of this works. That, quite frankly, and particularly as now reinforced by Judge Howell saying no. You know what Judge Howell was saying in substance? Do your job. And frankly, it makes DOJ look weak and feckless and flaccid, unwilling or unable to deal with the crimes of Donald Trump, to deal with the ongoing national emergency, to deal with Donald Trump's continued attempt to destroy our democracy, to undermine the voters' confidence in our elections, to continue to retain national defense information, putting our national security at risk. You know, the federal judges have been telling DOJ for a very long time, take care of this problem. I mean, Judge Sullivan and Judge Walton and Judge Mehta and Judge Amy Berman Jackson and Judge David Carter, who ruled, friends, he found that Donald Trump and John Eastman committed 2 federal felonies, obstruction of official proceedings and conspiracy to commit offenses against or defraud the United States. And Judge Carter found that they had committed those crimes by a preponderance of the evidence, which is a higher evidentiary burden than is required to arrest and indict somebody. That's just probable cause. So, DOJ apparently hasn't gotten the message or the memo previously that it is time, it is long past time to arrest Donald Trump for his obvious crimes, his ongoing crimes, crimes to which he has confessed. He actually said, I took these documents more openly and more transparently than other presidents. It's not like there is some challenge in proving that Donald Trump took the documents openly and transparently. And I don't like beating up on the Department of Justice, but you know, you have to call it the way you see it. I mean, I have great affection for my former professional home of nearly quarter of a century, and I know the good people there, the hardworking people there, my friends, my former colleagues who are working night and day to try to bring justice to the American people. But you know, there are some decision makers who, in my opinion, are going about this the wrong way. I know it may seem easy to be that, armchair quarterback in these circumstances, but having been a federal prosecutor for 30 years, I've seen an investigation or two. No, not one of a former president, but the fact of the matter is you need to treat the former president the way you treat every other American who commits crimes. Not better than, not different than. And Donald Trump is being treated better than and different than everybody else who commits any kind of crimes that are comparable, mishandles classified information. And it's wrong, and it's got to stop. Because justice matters. Friends, I've been saying it, and I'll say it again. Just because it hasn't happened yet, an indictment of Donald Trump, doesn't mean it won't happen. It will happen. We do have better days ahead. Friends, please stay safe. Please stay tuned. And I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.